Welcome to the Website Success Show, the podcast dedicated to helping women in business make the most of the content they're already creating so they can get more traffic and sales through their website with less reliance on social media and paid ads. I'm Jules White, the founder of the Website Success Hub, and I love helping course creators, podcasters, and business owners make more money through their existing website. If you have a business you love but you don't love the way your website performs, then this is the show for you. I was talking to my husband's friend yesterday, and I thought it would be a really good thing to come on and talk to you about. So we were chatting. He'd had some advice about his Google business profile, and he'd been told to. So he's a locksmith. And my husband used to be a locksmith, and he's one of his friends who used to work with. And he wanted to show up in the local town. So he lives just slightly outside of the main area of the town. And he's not showing up in that central area where there's lots of businesses, lots of residential in that area. And he'd had some advice from somebody to buy a PO box, get a PO box in the centre of town, and register and move his PIN basically from where he is at home from the area that he is. Actually, I don't think he's got a PIN in the map. He said to move his Google business profile essentially to this PO box. And I was immediately like, no, don't do that. It's against Google's guidelines. And just the fact of moving your address is enough to trigger a re-verification from Google. You guarantee that you will have to re-verify if you move locations. And they've made it so much more difficult now to verify your account. So you can't just get a postcard sent through the post as you used to get before. You have to do video verification, and it's really tricky to do. And especially if you have a physical location where customers come and visit you, pretty simple. There's not too much that makes it difficult to do, unless the only thing that could be tricky is if you're in a business where, like, I've got some clients who are part of a salon, so maybe they rent a room in a salon or something like that. And if you're trying to register yourself as a separate profile, that's where it can be tricky, even if you've got the PIN in the map. But he isn't. He's a service area business. So basically, he's not allowed a PIN in the map because customers don't come to his place of work to visit him. He goes up to them. So verification, if you have a service area business, can be really tricky and even harder now than it used to be. And so if he then moves his business to moves the PIN or moves his business, the registered location of his business, and then tries to verify it from there, it's going to be really hard to do. Google's going to ask for videos and want to see why you should be located in that location. So if he was then doing that to show his office at home, that if it was a service area business where he's not saying that I work with customers here, but this is my home, this is my office, this is my, logged into it, show a video of him logged into his website and showing that he's logged into the back end of it. Sometimes that's been helpful for some clients in terms of getting their accounts verified. But you can't do that if you've got a PO box as well. So I think it sort of made me realize that sometimes people are given advice and he's doing it to try and get more people to show up get his profile showing up to more people, and it would have the absolute opposite effect. Because if you trigger verification, then your profile either shows up as unverified, so it's less likely to show up in the results. If it does show up, it will say unverified, and more often than not, it will also trigger a suspension where your profile doesn't show up at all. He's got something like 300 5-star reviews as well. And once you start going down that route of Google, almost getting the eye of Google on you, really, they might start thinking, okay, well, why have you got all these 5-star reviews and nobody is giving you a review under 5-star? And it's great for him because they are genuine reviews and they trickle in regularly. So, they are genuine. But that's not to say that Google doesn't then start treating the whole of your business as suspicious. Once you start doing one thing that's a little bit shady, then Google might be thinking, actually, we'll keep an eye on this one. And it's such a pain. Trying to sort it out is such a pain. And then we started a conversation where, we're talking a little bit more about it. And I said, well, what are you doing? Have you done all the other things to optimize your profile that you can do? Have you got like plenty of photos on there. He said, yes. Have you got, you've got your reviews? Have you used the Q&A section on there? And so, no, I've not done. So that's one thing he could do. If he wants to show up in the center of town, then he could have some Q&As in there of asking, which areas do you cover? Which areas of this place where we live do you cover? So there's easier ways to try and bump yourself up the rankings without having to resort to shady tactics, really. So then we started looking at the photos, and the last time he'd actually made any updates to his profile, other than responding to reviews, he gets lots of reviews still trickling in. But other than responding to reviews, the last time he'd updated a photo was 3 years ago, and he hadn't done any updates. The section where you can actually add updates to your profile if you've got things going on in your business, or if you just want to do a little shout out to say, yeah, I'm still here. Hi Google, I'm still here. I'm still actually operating. Doing that first and focusing on those things. So I think he still wasn't quite 100% sure that I knew what I was talking about, which is fine. But I think he was maybe still a little bit skeptical. He'd had this advice and had obviously gone and got the PO box and maybe paid for that. So I don't know whether he was then thinking, well, I'm going to do it anyway. But I said to him, even if you do decide to go down that route, make sure that you do the things that are within your control first, and see if you can get your profile bumped up, well, like naturally and genuinely, before you resort to the shady tactics. Hopefully he took it on board. Hopefully he did realize that I do know what I'm talking about. And it's something that I've seen so many clients where they've come to me and said, what's happened to my Google profile? I don't know what I've done. I've tried to do this, or I've changed something. And the things that can trigger Google to be then suddenly pay attention to you is often where the things like if you change your address, or if you change from a service area business to a pin in the map, or vice versa, that will trigger a re-verification. If you change your primary category, that will generally trigger a re-verification. If you change your business name even, and I don't mean change your business name as in completely change it, but I had something recently where Google, so mine, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I had mine set up as Creativa Web and SEO Consultancy, I think it said. And a few weeks ago, I got a notification to say Google has changed it back to Creativa. So I was like, oh, okay. But if I'd have made that change myself, that may have been enough to trigger a verification. And it's something that you want to try and avoid as much as possible, because it is such a pain. And I've had so many clients who've come to me and said, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get around this. I was on a message with one of my clients yesterday, and she was saying that she'd had to verify about 30 times before she actually managed to get her business verified. And she's got a pin in the map as well. So it's one of those things that if you can save yourself that headache of trying to use shady tactics to make changes to your profile, then definitely try and avoid that if you can. So that was a long ramble about a conversation yesterday, but hopefully it's maybe saved him a little bit of hassle. And I loved it. I love talking about stuff like that. I love just showing off. Yeah, actually, I do know what I'm talking about, and just helping people and giving them tips, really.